Thank you for this thought-provoking presentation. It has brought to light the complex moral tension between justice, sovereignty, and power in the context of ongoing war. And your insights challenge us to reflect not only how wars are fought, but on how peace is shaped and by whom. And at the end of our panel, there is a small problem because we are very much out of time, but there is still time for two questions in the discussion. Yes.
My question would go to the entire panel, not just singling out one distinguished panel member. Considering the growing number of the conscientious objectors of our time, what way do you think they could be helped in order to overcome or at least ease their so-called war phobia? Thank you.
Some people calling the Zea pacifist and referring to conscientious objections have to read Gaudium et Spes in paragraph 78. As far as I remember, it is said that you may follow your conscience and moral worldview, but you shouldn't neglect the needs and the rights of the people you live with. More or less, it's said. So you have to follow your conscience, but in some way you have to be able to make, I would say, a small contribution for establishing peace. It can be different actions, but you just cannot sit aside and doing nothing. That's the main point.
If I may add one aspect, so you know, like in the church, if you look at the church historically, the church has always had a proud pacifist tradition. And that's a high good, you know. But the problem is, and that's I think where the tension lies, if you have only pacifists, you can no longer defend the country. So I think that's where the tension lies. So it's like pacifism or being pacifist is a high good. But to some extent it's in a tension with the moral responsibility that comes with protecting the common good. So you cannot defend a nation only with pacifists. So I think that's where sort of the tension lies, also within the church, like the tradition of pacifism and just war, if that makes sense.
We have time, one more question.
I would like to have a question to Professor Weber. I think you quite convincingly argued that we are having a religious conflict, or more of a religious conflict. And also you pointed to the fact that there is a kind of interface dialogue. And I'm curious whether it's the solution or not, because what I would perceive, and this may not be very popular opinion, but in some sense, when you are dealing with two different religions, it may be that they are in some sense stricter or harsher or stronger. So maybe the next step is not to go into interfaith dialogue, but maybe we can get in terms with in some kind of secular values and try to reconcile the conflict based on secular values, because those are not as conflictual as religious ideas. What's your opinion of that?
So I was trying to relate to that in my talk, and I'll take a second to kind of focus on the point you just made. Firstly, I think that nationalist ideas based on secularism don't work in the Near East at the moment. They don't work at the moment not because people are bad, it's that because all of them, including also the Jewish claim for statehood, is an imported West European idea that does not culturally or historically belong to the region. And that would cause, in a way, a very complicated issue, because the mere definition of states, nations, and borders in the Near East is something that is still very much conflicted, and at the end of the day, it correlates to the various religions in the area. So, to be honest, I think that if we neglect the religious point or the religious background, I think it's going to be very hard for us to position ourselves in a position to reach peace. So we're very similar, but still very conflicted because of nationalistic secular ideas. And I didn't mean, maybe I made myself maybe I made a mistake by not clarifying this. I do not expect the religious forces, so to speak, in the region to mastermind or broker a deal. I would, however, appeal that the political leaderships in the region would tap the sources of this interfaith dialogue, would connect to the things that we do have together rather than the things that we don't have together, and will work in trying to reach a solution based on common ideas, ideologies, and things that we could share. So that would be my kind of comment on this issue.